So I think 3 months is kind of the minimum time that you need to use a product to gain a really solid understanding of its strengths and weaknesses. What seemed to be a really cool and shiny new feature when you first bought it may just turn out to be a gimmick. Or vice versa, something you thought that you would never use may just end up being a complete game changer. And just like you, I am a pretty typical iPhone user. I don't do anything crazy on this thing, apart from social media usage, some web browsing, calls and texts obviously, and the occasional video and photo of my cat. And that's kind of what I want to focus on in this video, right? Just the everyday real life usage. Not comparing it to the previous iPhone 14 that's barely a year old, or running meaningless benchmarks and comparing CPU performance on a graph or something. But the first thing I wanted to start with is talking about some of the issues that some other people reported when the iPhone 15 Pro was first released. There was talk of overheating, cracked chassis, and the new titanium alloy being weaker than the previous stainless steel alloy, and also scratching easier. And for me personally, I have not experienced any of these issues. Touch wood. I'm not sure if this is wood, but it'll do. Sure, look, it got a bit hot for the first few hours while it was transferring everything from my old phone, but since then it's been perfectly fine. And I live in Australia and regularly use my phone in the sun, and it's not exactly cold here this time of the year. Now, that infamous jerry-rig everything video where he snapped his iPhone 15 Pro in half, well, that's a little bit harder to comment on because I really don't want to repeat the same test on my relatively new and expensive iPhone. But I did a ton of research into it and found that it didn't seem to be an issue at all. And I'll link my video on that down below if you're interested. Now, in terms of just overall durability and scratch resistance, I've been using this thing without a case pretty much the entire time, and it is holding up pretty well. By the way, I did buy a ton of iPhone cases to test them all and find out which one was the best. So if you do want to watch that video, click on that subscribe button down below to get notified. But yeah, so far, very minor wear and tear. I mean, if I hold it up to the camera there, you really can't see any difference at all. There's a little bit of scratching down here, which again, you probably can't really see on the camera, but nothing major. Now the sides are also much more scratch and fingerprint resistant when compared to previous iPhones. So here is the iPhone 14 Pro with the stainless steel alloy around the sides. And if I rub my finger over it and sort of scratch it up and smudge it a bit, you can see that it picks up those smudges and all that dirt a lot easier compared to the titanium alloy on the iPhone 15 Pro. And I also feel like the natural titanium color just holds up better than the other options, for example, the darker colors. Now, if you get a scratch on those darker colors, it's gonna be really obvious because underneath that color, it's this natural titanium, right? So if you do get a scratch on the titanium, it's just much less noticeable and it just kind of blends in with the rest of the chassis. I will say that despite all of the fancy marketing words that Apple uses to describe the screen, like ceramic shield, whatever that means, the screen still scratches. So I don't typically use a screen protector on my phones, and I do have a couple of minor scratches here. Now I'm gonna try and show you, and you tell me if you can actually see them there. When you're actually using the phone, they're not noticeable at all. So it's not a big deal for me, it's not a deal breaker, but you may want to consider still in 2023 and 2024, paying extra for a good quality screen protector. Now that that's out of the way, how has my experience with this phone been over the last couple of months? Well, I could go into detail and show you fancy battery comparison tests or talk about how the A17 Pro chip inside it is X percentage faster. But the reality is, I can sum up the entire experience in one sentence. It does everything you want a premium smartphone to do, and it does it very well. And look, this should not be a surprise. It's an iPhone. I mean, it's the flagship product of a nearly $3 trillion company. The battery life lasts me all day, even with hours and hours of use. The 120Hz ProMotion screen is a massive upgrade over the 60Hz screen I used for years on previous iPhones. I mean, scrolling and UI animations just feel so natural now. And it has way more power than I would ever use. I mean, I don't really play super intensive games or edit camera footage on my phone, but I mean, you can do this easily if you want to. But I think this video would be a waste of your time if I talked about all of that really basic stuff that you've probably already seen in like 5 other review videos. So instead, I want to focus on a couple of key areas. But just quickly before that, let's check out the quality of the iPhone 15 Pro's microphone and camera while I talk about the sponsor for this section of the video, Careerist. Now, we already know that the iPhone 15 Pro starts at a whopping $999, and it's going to lose a lot of its value very quickly. So consider investing in yourself as well and learning skills that can help you make over $70,000 a year while working remotely. That is 70 new iPhones every single year. Pretty sweet. Through Careerist, you could learn about software QA engineering. You don't need any coding experience or a college degree to start, so it's great for beginners. Software QA engineers, or otherwise known as software testers, ensure websites and mobile apps function properly. Their job is to identify errors and bugs and share their findings with the development team. This training takes just 13.5 weeks and includes live workshops, self-paced training, and assignments. Plus, you'll get real-world experience for your resume with a remote internship. And check out the low-light capability of the iPhone 15 Pro. And also don't forget that with Careerist, at the end of the program, you'll learn how to search for a job via one-to-one career coaching. Your instructors will be QA industry experts with decades of experience, previously employed at companies like Meta, Google, and Intel. There's also a 100% money-back guarantee if you're not happy. So click the link in the description or use promo code CreatorTech to enjoy a $600 discount. Apart from that, let's get back to the video. Okay, so let's talk about the first key feature that I want to talk about, and that is the action button. Now, it's something that Apple really shoved down our throats in their announcement video. It was supposed to be some revolutionary change that would usher in a new era of the iPhone. And look, I'll be totally honest, I did get a little bit sucked in and got excited about it because pretty much since the iPhone was first released, that particular button has not changed. But after 3 months of using it every single day, I actually barely notice it at all. And sure, look, you do get a couple of functions you can assign to it, and I tried to get into all of the additional crazy shortcuts you can set up to do certain tasks, and I really do love this improved functionality. But for me personally, I just use it as a mute toggle. I mean, a big limitation to it, in my opinion, is that you can only assign one single function to it. There's no expanded functionality like 1 click does something, 2 clicks does something else, and then holding it does a third thing, for example. It's just one function. And as someone who regularly switches in and out of silent mode every couple of hours during the day, I don't want to have to take my phone out of my pocket, swipe up, and then press the silent switch. I just want to plop my hand on that button, hold it down in my pocket, boom, it is completely silent. So this button is useless to me and potentially a lot of other people as well, because we're just going to assign it to silent mode. That being said, it is still miles better than the previous silent switch, and I'd really love to see Apple assign additional functionality to it down the track. Now, the other major improvement was Apple finally ditching the aging Lightning port, like you can see here on the iPhone 14 Pro, and replacing it with the USB-C port. And I have no complaints here. I mean, you can now have USB-C cables to charge or connect to your computer. The iPhone Pro models get the super fast 10 gigabit USB-C speeds, which means transferring a bunch of photos and videos to your computer is much faster. And just generally, USB-C unlocks a ton of functionality like adapters, external drives, and other accessories. I made a full video on iPhone 15 Pro USB-C features if you're interested. But one thing that absolutely kills me is that I still can't completely get Lightning out of my life. My AirPods still use Lightning, my Magic trackpad and keyboard still use Lightning, my girlfriend's iPhone still uses Lightning, which means we need 2 cables in the car for CarPlay, and your situation is probably going to be the exact same as mine. It's not a deal breaker by any means, it's just a minor annoyance. Now, I should also mention the improvements to the camera here, because how useful they are really depends on how you use the camera on your iPhone. If it's just casual everyday photos and videos, I mean, I really don't think you'll notice a difference from other iPhones. Again, Apple loves to use marketing buzzwords, and the features seem really cool at first glance, like switching between focal lengths or squeezing more pixels into photos. But in my opinion, the only people who will notice a significant difference are those who want to shoot ProRes video in log and/or 60 FPS. And that's it. And if you're scratching your head right now wondering what those two things are and if they're important, I totally understand. I have a video going into detail on why this is a big deal, but only for those of us who shoot specific iPhone videos. But in a nutshell, it lets you record super high quality videos that, when edited, aren't much more distinguishable from more expensive and more professional cameras. You can color grade, slow down footage, and get rid of that overly sharpened, synthetic, iPhone-y look you get on videos shot by smartphone cameras. It's just a big step up from previous iPhones, but again, only if you know how to shoot in log, and not only that, but how to edit that footage after the fact. For most people who are just whipping out their phone and taking a video of their cat doing something silly, you're not going to be recording that in 4K 60 FPS log, which is going to be several gigabytes in size, and then editing that in an editing program on your computer, right? You just want a quick and dirty clip that's just going to sit on your phone that you can just watch a couple of months later. So yeah, overall, after over 3 months of using this bad boy, hours and hours every single day, it is a really good phone. I really do not have any complaints about it. Is it worth the additional cost over the base model iPhone 15? For me, yes it was. In particular, once you try that ProMotion screen with the high refresh rate, you just can't go back to a normal phone, as well as all the other improvements that the Pro models include. If you're looking for a brand new phone, or you're upgrading from an older phone like an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 12, again, absolutely, it is a really, really solid upgrade. It does get a bit trickier if you already have a recent iPhone, like the iPhone 14 Pro, for example. So I did make a video comparing these two in depth if you're interested, and I will link it here and also down below. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.